Hello, a very good evening to all of you. Today we are going to discuss a line graph, and this line graph shows the number of tourists visited Malaysia and Dubai from 1995 to 2003. So we do have this particular line graph as a movement chart. So we have the time frame moving from 1995 to 2003. And we do have two destinations where the tourists visited. That was Dubai, and one was Malaysia. So when we go ahead with the picture, you can see that the x-axis and y-axis. You can see the vertical axis. You can see the number of visitors. And here you can see the years. That's 9 years from 1995. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years from 1995 to 2003. Destinations are Dubai and Malaysia. And when we go and look into, have a closer look into the line graph, we do have to see that till this point, that is 2000, this particular year, Malaysia was ahead of Dubai in case of receiving the number of tourists. In case of receiving more number of tourists, Malaysia was ahead of Dubai. And from 2000 to 2001, this 1 year, this was a transition period. And by the end of this period, you have Dubai having a slightly more dominance than Malaysia in case of the number of tourists they received. And from then, Malaysia had dropped its number of tourists by almost 100,000. On the other hand, Dubai has raised the number by almost 150,000 or 125,000 or something like that. Now, this is the story we do have. If we analyze more closely, I would say the pattern of growth of the number of tourists to Malaysia from 1995 to 2000, you can see that was gradual. Despite some mild fluctuations, you have some mild fluctuations in between. But when we look into the growth pattern of Dubai's number of visitors, you can see the growth, even though the growth is somewhat similar and gradual, you can see the fluctuations are more sharp than the first one, that's Malaysia. You have wider fluctuations in case of the number of visitors to Dubai during the period from 1995 to 2000 or 2001. The growth was much similar to the number of tourists to Malaysia. This is another thing that we have to see. And we do have two major setbacks in the number of visitors in Dubai, one in 1996 and one in 1999. And these two are important areas. This is another important area. This is another important area. This and this. So we have marked the main features So I have to start. So I have to say the data of 1995 first. First, this is the data that we are going to say. And we are going to say this is the second data. And we are going to see this growth, and how the fluctuation was here, and two specific setbacks to the number of visitors to Dubai. And this is the equalizing point, where something very important here in this particular graph. And after that, after the transition period, what happened? One upwards and one downwards. And this is what we are going to present in organized manner. So we do have a transition point, and this is the transition point. So I need to make the paragraph to, I need to split the paragraph to two. Here I go with first paragraph. Here I go with the second paragraph. That's it. So we need to have an introduction which shows what the picture is and what the picture is about. The picture is a line graph, and it shows the number of visitors who visited Malaysia and Dubai between 1995 and 2003. So this is what you are going to write in the introduction. Overall, you can see that the last century, that's the 20th century, you can see Malaysia as a more favorable places for tourists. But after 2000, that's a new millennia, new century, the 21st century, you can see Dubai as their favorite destination than Malaysia. So that's what we can see in the overview. And the rest of the things we have organized into two paragraphs. So let us go with an acceptable answer here. The line graph compares the number of tourists to two destinations, Malaysia and Dubai, over a period of 9 years from 1995. So this is what the introduction is. Now, what we can see is the overview of Malaysia. Overall, Malaysia had more visitors in the last century, whereas the trend reversed in this century. Yeah. I would say that the figures are not recommended in the overview. So please mind that in exceptional cases, we write figures in overview. Other than that, apart from that, we are not going to go with the figures. We have to say that in words. That's why we have gone with this particular presentation. It would have been better if you would have gone with the years. Now, we do have two paragraphs here. Two paragraphs here. One is from 1995 to 1999. Another is from 2001 to 2003. So let's go ahead with this. As per the chart, the number of tourists to Malaysia was 100,000 in 1995. Whereas Dubai had not received even half of this number. So what we can say in 1995 is that the number of tourists to Malaysia was 100,000. Yes. Whereas Dubai had not received even half of this number. So not even 50,000 was it. Not even 50,000 visitors visited Dubai in 1995. Despite some mild fluctuation, the visitor number to Malaysia grew gradually to cross 250,000 by 1999. So you can see 1999, it has crossed 250,000. That's a 250,000. So what we can say in 1999, the number of visitors to Malaysia crossed a 250,000. However, fluctuations were sharper in case of the tourist number who visited Dubai over the period. Now, you can see the fluctuation. You know that there were fluctuations there in the number of tourists to Malaysia, but the fluctuations were sharper in case of Dubai. On its way to cross 250,000 visitors in which occurred a year after Malaysia. So this is the thing here. In 2000, it crossed 250,000 visitors. Dubai saw two major setbacks. One in 1996, less than 50,000 visitors, and other in 1999, just over 150,000. So this is the two setbacks. If you don't give the brackets also, no problem, but we don't count brackets as the word, so there is no problem there if we use brackets there. Now it's for better understanding. It is to be noted that by 2001, Dubai had slightly more visitors than Malaysia, and it would hike the number. It could hike the number of visitors to 400,000 from around 325,000 in 2001. By 2001, you can see that Dubai had a slightly more number of visitors than Malaysia. Okay, now it's better to separate the sentence. It would hike the number of visitors. It could hike the number of visitors to 400,000 from around 325,000 in 2001. Malaysia, on the other hand, lost its grip since 2001 and ended up with under 250,000 visitors in 2003. So we have seen a setback, a severe setback in the number of visitors to Malaysia after the year 2001, where it settled by around under 250,000 visitors there. And this is what the organizing of this particular writing task 1. I hope you have understood. Thank you. Have a nice day.